Welcome to Global Draft, a channel where countries are not just names on a map, but living stories written by time, war, culture, and people. Here, we don't rush through history. We travel through it. From forgotten ancient civilizations to powerful empires that shaped the world, from breathtaking landscapes to modern nations defining the future. Global Draft brings you cinematic journeys across our planet. Today's story takes us to a land that stands between continents, a land where East meets West, a land of emperors, sultans, warriors, poets, and dreamers, a land that has witnessed thousands of years of human history. This is Turkey. So sit back, let the music rise, and allow the story to unfold. If you love deep storytelling, history, geography, and world exploration, subscribe to Global Draft, where every country has a story worth telling. Now our journey begins. Turkey is not just a country, it is a bridge between worlds, stretching from Europe into Asia. To the west, it touches Europe. To the east, it opens toward Asia and the Middle East. Surrounded by seas, Turkey has always been a land people fought to control and dreamed of calling home. Merchants crossed its lands carrying silk, spices, and gold. Armies marched through its mountains chasing glory. Today, Turkey is a nation of over 85 million people, modern yet deeply rooted in tradition. Mosques stand beside skyscrapers. Ancient ruins rise next to busy highways. The call to prayer echoes over city streets. Istanbul stands as one of the greatest cities in human history, once called Byzantium, then Constantinople. Turkey is where Roman roads meet Ottoman palaces, where nomadic traditions blend with urban lifestyles, where tea is poured slowly, conversations last long, and hospitality is a way of life. But to truly understand Turkey, we must go back, long before borders or flags. We must return to the very beginning. Names carry power. They carry memory. They survive long after empires fall and borders change. The name Turkey is not a modern invention. It is a word shaped by movement, struggle, identity, and time. At its heart lies a single word, Turk. This word first appeared in written history more than 1,500 years ago, carved into stone in the heart of Central Asia. The earliest known reference comes from the Orkhon inscriptions, ancient monuments raised by Turkic rulers in the 8th century. They speak of leadership, unity, and the spirit of a people who saw themselves as chosen to endure. But even before these stone carvings, the name existed in oral memory. Chinese historical records from the 6th century mention a powerful nomadic people known as the Tujue, disciplined warriors and skilled horsemen who controlled vast trade routes. Scholars still debate the exact meaning of the word Turk. Some believe it means strong or powerful. Others suggest it means created, mature, or in one's prime. It was a declaration of who they were. As centuries passed, Turkic tribes began a long and historic migration westward. They crossed deserts, climbed mountains, and followed rivers, encountering countless other civilizations. And everywhere they went, the name went with them. It echoed across the Silk Road, spoken in different tongues, yet always recognizable. It became a marker of identity, not tied to one place, but to a people. By the 11th century, Turkic groups, especially the Seljuks, entered Anatolia. To the outside world, especially in Europe, this region gradually became known as Turkey. The word simply meant the land of the Turks. Just as France was the land of the Franks, Turkey was the land shaped by Turkic identity. But within the land itself, the name held deeper meaning. To its people, the country was Türkiye, not just a territory, but a homeland, a place earned through centuries of survival, adaptation, and transformation. In 1923, a modern nation was born from the ashes of empire, the Republic of Türkiye. Today, the word Turkey connects ancient nomads to a modern nation-state, identity preserved through time. Next, we return to prehistory. Before kings, before cities, before writing, there was Anatolia, a land shaped by fire and stone, a land where humanity first learned what it meant to gather, to build, to believe. Long before history had a name, this land was already alive with human footsteps. More than 12,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened. On a quiet hilltop in southeastern Anatolia, people came together to build Göbekli Tepe. Not homes, not fortresses, but a temple. Massive stone pillars were carved and raised by hand. They were etched with symbols whose meanings we still struggle to understand. There were no kings to command this work, only belief. Göbekli Tepe proved that religion came before agriculture. In Anatolia, civilization did not slowly emerge, it erupted. Humans began to domesticate plants and animals. One of the world's earliest towns, Çatalhöyük, rose in central Anatolia. Its people lived in tightly packed mud brick homes, entering from rooftops. Here, we see the first glimpses of organized society. By the end of the Bronze Age, this land was no longer just a cradle, it was a crossroads. Trade routes cut across it, connecting Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Aegean world. Tin, copper, textiles, and ideas flowed through Anatolia's valleys and mountains. And from this flow of culture and commerce, great civilizations were born. Among the most powerful were the Hittites. Around 1600 BCE, they built one of the ancient world's greatest empires, with their capital at Hattusa. They mastered ironworking and created advanced military tactics. The Hittites were not just warriors, they were diplomats. They signed the world's first known written peace treaty with Egypt. A copy still hangs today at the United Nations. When the Hittite Empire collapsed around 1200 BCE, new cultures rose. The Phrygians, led by the legendary King Midas, ruled. Their myths spoke of gold, but their real legacy was art and music. Then came the Lydians. In western Anatolia, the Lydians introduced the first known metal coins. For the first time, trade no longer relied on barter alone. Money was born, and with it, modern economics. Anatolia became wealth itself. Each civilization left behind layers, in stone, in soil, in memory. History stacked like pages in an unfinished book. Anatolia became the beating heart of the ancient world. By the end of ancient times, an era of philosophers, city-states, and empires of marble and law was waiting. The classical world was about to rise, and Anatolia would stand at its center once again. As Anatolia stepped into the classical age, it no longer stood quietly at the edge of history. It became its center. Greek settlers arrived along the western coasts, founding legendary cities: Troy, Ephesus, Miletus, Pergamon. These were laboratories of philosophy, politics, and art. Here, democracy was debated, mathematics evolved, theater was born, and then came a story so powerful it echoed through eternity: the Trojan War. A war of honor, deception, and destiny. A wooden horse, a city reduced to ashes, and a legend that still lives today. Anatolia soon felt the footsteps of giants. Persian kings marched in from the east, bringing order, roads, and imperial ambition. Then, like lightning across history, Alexander the Great arrived. Young, fearless, unstoppable. In just a few years, he shattered Persian rule and united Anatolia under a vision of a shared world, where Greek ideas blended with Eastern wisdom. Cities flourished, libraries expanded knowledge, sculptures captured perfection. But Alexander died young, and his empire shattered like glass. Yet Anatolia remained powerful, a prize every empire desired. The stage was set. A new force was rising from the west. Rome was coming. History was about to be written in marble and law. The age of Rome was dawning, and that is where our journey goes next. Rome did not simply conquer Anatolia. It transformed it. Roads cut through mountains. Aqueducts carried life to cities. Law, order, and architecture reshaped the land. But Rome's greatest decision came in 330 AD. An emperor named Constantine chose a city on the Bosphorus, Byzantium, and renamed it Constantinople. This was no ordinary city. It was a fortress of stone and sea, a gate between continents, a crown jewel of the Roman world. When Rome fell in the west, Constantinople stood strong. It became the heart of the Byzantine Empire, Roman in law, Greek in culture, Christian in faith. Magnificent churches rose toward the sky. Most famous of all, Hagia Sophia, a masterpiece that defied gravity and time. It was a space where the earthly and the divine met. For over 1,000 years, Constantinople resisted invasions, plagues, and betrayals. It was the guardian of knowledge and faith. But history does not stop. From the east, new riders approached. They carried a different language, a different faith, and a destiny tied to Anatolia. A new era was arriving on horseback. The Seljuks and Ottomans were coming. From the vast plains of Central Asia, the Seljuk Turks arrived. They were warriors, scholars, builders. After defeating Byzantine forces at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, the doors of Anatolia opened forever. Manzikert was more than a victory. It was a new beginning for the land of Anatolia. Mosques replaced churches, but knowledge replaced destruction. The Seljuks were master builders. They built universities and centers of learning. Anatolia became a land where knowledge was the greatest treasure. They built caravanserais, fortified inns along the Silk Road that protected merchants and trade across civilizations. Their warriors were the shield of the Silk Road, ensuring the flow of culture and commerce. But as the Seljuk power weakened, new forces began to stir across the Anatolian plains. Smaller Turkish states, Anatolian beyliks, rose, each competing for influence and glory. Among them, one small beylik on the edge of Byzantium would soon change the world forever. Its leader was named Osman, a man of quiet strength whose descendants would build an empire across 3 continents. The age of the Ottomans was dawning, and that is where our journey goes next. In 1453, the world changed forever. Before the towering walls of Constantinople stood a young sultan, Mehmed II. For over 1,000 years, those walls had defied time. But now, cannons thundered, stone shattered, and when the city finally fell, history itself broke open. Constantinople became Istanbul, and the Ottoman Empire stepped into legend. Yet this empire was not born in palaces. Its roots were forged in fire and survival. Long before sultans, there was the Kei tribe, renowned warriors, skilled horsemen, living by honor, loyalty, and faith. They were followers of Sufism, a path of humility and justice. For the Kei, the sword was guided by belief and power balanced by morality. But in the 13th century, a storm came from the east. The Mongols. Cities burned. Kingdoms collapsed. Central Asia became a battlefield. The Kei were forced into motion, not as conquerors, but as survivors. Led by Ertugrul Gazi, they fought while navigating a world in chaos. The Mongol pressure pushed them westward into Anatolia. Ertugrul aligned with the Seljuks, defending frontier lands against Byzantines and rival beyliks. When Ertugrul died, his son Osman I inherited a vision. He transformed a small frontier principality into a growing state. From his name came the word Ottoman, born on the edge of empires, shaped by struggle. This made them resilient. Village by village, fortress by fortress, the Ottomans expanded. By the time Mehmed II stood before Constantinople, they were no longer survivors. They were a superpower in motion. Istanbul became the beating heart of an empire. But strength was not only military. They ruled with advanced administration and religious tolerance. Christians, Jews, and Muslims lived under Ottoman protection. At the peak stood Suleiman the Magnificent. To the west, a feared emperor. To his people, Kanuni, the lawgiver. He nurtured art and architecture. The legendary architect Mimar Sinan designed structures that still define Istanbul's skyline. Trade routes flourished. Silk, spices, and knowledge flowed through Ottoman lands. For over 6 centuries, the empire shaped global history. But time spares no empire. As global power shifted, the Ottomans struggled to modernize. Internal unrest and war weakened the state. In 1922, the Sultanate was abolished. An empire born from migration and hardened by invasion came to an end. But its legacy lived on, and from its ashes, a new nation would rise. Modern Turkey. The Ottoman Empire, mighty for centuries, had begun to crumble under the pressures of modernization, war, and imperial competition. By the early 20th century, Europe was on the brink of chaos, and the Ottoman world was caught in the storm. The empire chose sides, but defeat followed. Allied powers planned to carve Anatolia into pieces. Maps were drawn, borders were planned, cultures threatened to disappear. But the heart of a nation would not be erased. From the ashes of defeat rose one man, a soldier, a thinker, a visionary, Mustafa Kemal. Known later as Ataturk, he refused to accept the division of his homeland. He rallied soldiers, farmers, and teachers. A national movement took shape. This was not just a battle for land, it was a battle for identity. The Turkish War of Independence was fought not with empires, but with unity. By 1923, the struggle was won. The Republic of Turkey was born. Ataturk's vision was radical, a future rooted in progress. He envisioned a secular state, a modern education system, and a new legal framework. He asked his people to step forward with courage. Modern streets replaced old imperial roads. Universities opened. Women gained rights. A future of equality and knowledge was being built. New scripts replaced old alphabets. This was not just a new state, it was a rebirth. Turkey stepped into the future with courage. And today, that vision lives on in every street, every university, and every home. A modern nation standing tall. The story of Turkey is a story of resilience, from ancient myths to modern marvels. And our journey has only just begun. Turkey's land has seen countless battles, not just wars of conquest, but wars that shaped civilizations. The Battle of Manzikert in 1071, a pivotal clash that opened Anatolia to the Turks, changing the future of the region forever. The fall of Constantinople in 1453, a turning point when medieval walls fell to cannons and a city changed forever. World War I and the Turkish Independence War, battles fought on many fronts where bravery met sacrifice. At Gallipoli, soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, not for empire, but for homeland. These conflicts were the forge of a nation. At Aintab, women and men defended homes against overwhelming odds. Every victory and every loss left an imprint on the Turkish soul. Turkey's wars were not just about land. They were about identity, faith, loss, and redemption. The story continues. To understand Turkey, you must understand its land. A peninsula bridging two continents, Europe and Asia. Turkey's geography is one of contrasts and wonders. In the west, rolling green hills greet the Aegean Sea with gentle waves. To the north, dense forests and mountains meet the Black Sea's mysterious waters. To the south, the Mediterranean paints a warmer horizon, punctuated by rugged cliffs and turquoise bays. And central Anatolia, ancient steppe and plateau, where wind dances with dust and history sleeps beneath every stone. But geography is more than beauty. It is strategy. Turkey controls the Bosphorus and Dardanelles, two of the most significant waterways in the world, connecting the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. Rivers carved valleys, mountains shaped climates, seas carried cultures. And today, the land remains as diverse as the history written upon it. This land breathes with life. Turkey's climate is a mosaic, a story told through air, water, and seasons. In the Mediterranean south, summers are warm and golden, winters mild with fragrant winds. In the Black Sea north, clouds ride ocean breezes, and rain falls like ancient rhythms on emerald forests. And in central Anatolia, winters bite and summers blaze, a land of extremes, of resilience. Such diversity nurtures life, from the high mountains to the sun-kissed beaches. Here, oak forests whisper secrets. Sea turtles nesting on sun-kissed beaches, and bird migrations painting the skies with endless motion, each shaping the land, weaving traditions. Biodiversity is not merely a statistic, it is the heartbeat of a nation. Turkey is not defined by a single voice. It is a chorus of cultures, layered through centuries of faith, tradition, and shared history. At its foundation, Turkey is a secular republic, a modern state where religion and governance are separate by law. Yet religion continues to shape the rhythm of daily life. The majority practices Islam. From dawn to night, the call to prayer rises from minarets across the country, a reminder of heritage, time, and spiritual connection. Islam in Turkey is deeply rooted in tradition and community. Mosques are not only places of worship, they are centers of gathering, learning, and social life. Alongside flows the deep spiritual current of Sufism, the mystical heart of Islam. The whirling dervishes perform a sacred dance where movement becomes prayer. Turkey's religious story does not belong to Islam alone. Christian churches and ancient monasteries stand beside grand mosques, testaments to centuries of coexistence. Religion here is layered, not erased. Culturally, Turkey is a bridge between worlds. Western modernity blends seamlessly with Eastern tradition. A business suit may walk past a traditional headscarf. Hospitality is sacred. Guests are welcomed like family. Tea is offered without question. Time slows around shared conversations. Family stands at the heart of society. Ethnically, Turks form the majority, but Kurds, Arabs, Laz, and others add layers of cuisine, art, and identity. Each group carries its own story woven into the nation. In Turkey, culture lives in streets and markets. It lives in laughter, grief, and shared memory. It is this living, breathing diversity that gives Turkey its soul. Cities are the heartbeat of a nation, and Turkey's cities pulse with life, history, and ambition. Ankara, the capital, calm, modern, purposeful, where laws are written and futures planned. Istanbul, the crown jewel, where continents touch and every street whispers history. Izmir, vibrant and coastal, a city of trade, culture, and modern spirit. Antalya, kissed by the Mediterranean, where ancient ruins meet luxury resorts. Bursa, birthplace of the Ottoman Empire, green and historic. Konya, land of Rumi, where mysticism flows through stone and poetry. Gaziantep, culinary capital, where flavors tell ancient stories. Adana, bold, energetic, and fiery. Trabzon, overlooking the Black Sea, wrapped in mist. Diyarbakir, ancient walls, deep roots, powerful identity. Each city carries a different soul, yet all beat in rhythm with the same nation. The story of Turkey remains alive. Turkey is a gallery carved by time. Every attraction tells a story, not of tourism, but of civilization. Istanbul, the city where continents meet. Marvel at the Hagia Sophia, a masterpiece of Byzantine architecture during the day. And at night, its domes and minarets glow with a timeless beauty that defines the Istanbul skyline. Marvel at the Hagia Sophia, a masterpiece of Byzantine and Ottoman architecture, its stones whispering of centuries of history. Inside, its stunning golden mosaics and massive dome defy time, a sacred space where the earthly and divine meet. From the surreal landscapes of Cappadocia, where hot air balloons rise like dreams in the morning light, and where the magic continues under the quiet of the night, with balloons glowing like lanterns against the stars. Ancient caves transformed into glowing homes, capturing the nighttime magic of Anatolia. To the white terraces of Pamukkale, where mineral waters flow like frozen clouds. From Ephesus, where marble streets echo footsteps of philosophers. To Mount Nimrud, where stone heads stare into eternity. Castles cling to cliffs. Ruins sleep under open skies. Aspendos, a Roman theater that still lives. And Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest temple in the golden morning light. Natural wonders feel almost unreal. Turkey doesn't impress loudly, it reveals slowly. The journey is far from over. Food is culture. And in Turkey, every meal tells a story of family, geography, and centuries of hand-to-hand tradition. Kebab culture is not fast food, it is heritage. Breakfast arrives gently. Minimum bubbles in copper pans. Simple, comforting, timeless. Bread is torn, not cut. Meals are shared, never rushed. And then there is baklava, layer upon layer of delicate pastry, filled with pistachios and soaked in syrup, a dessert perfected over generations. Food in Turkey lives on the streets. Simits sold from red carts, roasted chestnuts on cold evenings, and stuffed mussels eaten by the Bosphorus. Markets pulse with life. At the Grand Bazaar, spices glow like gemstones. People eat everywhere, on sidewalks, on ferries, on the pulse of the city. And always, there is tea. Served in tulip-shaped glasses, it is an invitation. Deals are made, and friendships deepen over tea. Silence becomes comfortable. Food feeds the body, but storytelling feeds the soul. Turkish dramas like Duralis, Ertugrul, and Kurulus, Osman have reached millions worldwide, filled with heroism and faith. Modern dramas like Kükür explore family and honor, while Turkish cinema carries a quiet strength, focusing on the beauty and struggle of ordinary lives. Music binds it all together. Traditional instruments like the baglama and they carry melodies of longing and memory. Modern sounds blend with ancient rhythms. Turkey's food, films, and dramas are an experience. They allow the world to see Turkey, to taste Turkey, to feel Turkey. One story at a time. Turkey is a nation shaped by history, but also by its present and future. Its economy is as diverse as its landscapes. Modern cities buzz with industry and innovation. Markets, factories, and technology hubs fuel growth. Tourism, agriculture, and trade connect Turkey to the world. Turkey is a strategic gateway for trade. Modern institutions and a democratic republic guide the nation's growth. Politically, Turkey is a democratic republic. The government navigates a nation of over 85 million people through a rapidly changing world. Led by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the nation balances strength with diplomacy, innovation with culture, and progress with history. The military has long been a cornerstone of security and sovereignty. From protecting borders to global missions, they carry centuries of tradition. Every skyscraper, every highway, tells the story of a nation striving forward, but never forgetting where it came from. The journey of Turkey continues. Life in Turkey is a balance of tradition and modernity, a nation alive with the energy of the present. Children study in schools embracing science, technology, and culture, a foundation for the future. Universities in Ankara, Istanbul, and Izmir attract scholars from all over the world, hubs of global knowledge and ambition. Healthcare combines modern hospitals with accessibility, ensuring citizens and visitors alike receive the highest standard of care. Daily life moves at many paces. In Istanbul, traffic and cafes pulse with energy, constant and unstoppable. While in Cappadocia or Black Sea villages, time feels slower, allowing community and nature to take center stage. Reflection and community are the threads that weave this nation together across every region. Sports, art, music, and festivals celebrate life, from bustling cities to quiet villages. Here, people honor their past and embrace the present. And Turkey steps boldly into the future. Life flows through its streets, classrooms, and homes like a river connecting continents. Turkey is a nation alive, connecting history to tomorrow. And so our journey through Turkey comes to an end, but the story never truly ends. From ancient stone pillars to modern skyscrapers, from warriors and poets to musicians and chefs, Turkey stands as a testament to human resilience, creativity, and beauty. We have walked its streets, soared over its landscapes, and dived into its culture, all from the comfort of your screen. If you enjoyed this beautiful journey, subscribe to Global Draft for more stories that bring the world alive. Don't forget to like and comment on your experience. The world is vast. Its stories are endless. And together, we will explore them, one country at a time. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and let history guide your imagination. Global Draft. Stories of the world, one country at a time.